SOC Radio welcomes you to Myths and Legends with Jeanette J, psychic medium and her guests, sharing ghostly experiences, tales of the unexpected and paranormal. Join us now if you dare.
And good evening from the UK studio here at SOC Radio. It's coming up to the midnight hour, and it's that time again. It's Myths and Legends, the ghosts and ghouly stories from our two favourite pages on Facebook. Tell us a ghost story, and the ghosts, the paranormal, supernatural, myths and legends. And I have got with me tonight a very special guest who's going to be introducing a brand new show here on SOC Radio. We're bringing Phil Siracusa with the whole entire story of the Horsefly Chronicles to SOC Radio. This is an ongoing series that will keep you on the edge of your seat with the true stories of what's happening in his home over there in eastern the USA, in Pennsylvania. Now then, we've had some questions over the last couple of weeks about our show and asking, can we have our listeners on the show? Yes, we can. We want to hear from you about your ghostly experiences, about your supernatural experiences, about your stories. So if you want to get in touch and you want to be on the next show here on SOC Radio with Myths and Legends, contact us via our Facebook page at SOC Radio. You can search it all over the place, it's there. Or you can contact me, Julie SOC, on Facebook, or of course at socradioshows@gmail.com. We want to hear your stories. You can join us on Skype. You can call in any time during the show. If you've got Skype, just add Circle of Mediums, all one word, to your Skype, and you can call in. Give our producer Tracy there a little bit of a message, and she'll let us know, and you can come on the show and tell us all about your ghost stories. So I want to thank all those people who've been emailing and posting on our Facebook pages with any of our radio shows here on SOC Radio, whether you're looking for a reading on Lani's Esoteric Brunch, or you're looking for guidance and spiritual information. Check out all our radio shows on SOC Radio. In the meantime, let's get back to it. It's the midnight hour, and it's time for the ghosts and ghoulies and the horror stories that we all experience. I had a lovely one today, even early this morning. For some reason I was up way early, and there is a poster on my page waiting for me to be accepted, asking what happens when your own home is too spooky to live in. I got my intrigue up, and it got me asking, what's going off here? So I contacted them, and yes, a lovely lady from the depths of Cornwall in the UK is having some amazing experiences in her own home, and it's getting to the point where she doesn't like staying there on her own. So I said to her, listen into today's show, and Sharon, if you're listening, we hope to be answering some of your questions today. She's got things happening like curtains opening and closing in the middle of the day. Now, we've heard about it at the night, but during the day, yes, spirit activity happens during the day as well as during the night. She's also got things being moved in one particular bedroom. Every time she sets it up and gets it ready for a guest staying, by the time the guest arrives, it's all changed around again. Whole pieces of furniture. And I'm not just talking about ornaments on shelves. I'm talking about a bed that's moved across the room. I'm talking about an armchair that stands on its end, is tipped forward, so you can't sit on it anymore. All this type of thing going off in a certain house in the depths of Cornwall. Now, Sharon's given me permission to talk about it today, and it's leading us into some lovely information that's going to be talking about with my guest today, Phil Siracusa from the Horsefly Chronicles, which is joining us on SOC Radio. Phil, are you with me?
Yes. Thank you very much, Julie, for having me on.
It's great to meet you. We've been talking about this for a couple of months now, getting you underway on SOC Radio. And I have purposely not getting into everything that's happened with the Horsefly Chronicles, because I want it to be as fresh for me as it is going to be for some of our listeners. Now, I know for you, the experience is very much like the lady in Cornwall. You're living these experiences, aren't you?
Yes, I'm living it every single day. And the power of entities is unprecedented. And some of the things they can do will blow our minds.
You say entities. Now then, let's get into this. Do you believe in spirits, ghosts, the difference between them, one's being a replay, one being present here and now that we can communicate, with demons, other entities? What is your belief, and how did you get involved in all this before you started living it?
Well, let me first say this. While I do not disrespect anybody's beliefs or religions, I will say in very firm words that heaven, hell, is very real. Very, very real. Demons, ghosts, spirits, shadow people are also very real. And what I do up until this very day is bring the best people forward within the paranormal community to come to my home, research, document, and help other people in the world understand how these things work. And how I got into it, I was never into the paranormal world. I'm a man who, in my series coming out in a couple of weeks on your show, is going to be talking about a past life. And, you know, some people ask, well, do you believe in reincarnation? The answer is yes. And can you prove it? Yes. And I'm going to go through that entire thing on the series going forward.
Excellent.
So I'm going to be bringing it. I want the audience and the listeners to feel the words that I say, and I want to bring them to heaven and express how it is and what it looks like and what it feels like and who is there. And then the depths of hell. And then what it's like to be born through the light of energy, which I call the light of God, into the physical world.
The light of God, you say that one very specifically. So do you believe in the supreme being, in a God, or is it, as I do, that it's something that links us all?
There is God. And some people, there's a lot of mixed beliefs because there's a lot of different religions. But I will say that there is a creator of light who is able for us to fulfill all of our energy and the true souls that we actually carry throughout every single lifetime. And in the series coming up, I'm going to be explaining it. And that's why, Julie, I wanted it to be a weekly series, because I want people to grasp everything. And, you know, if you tell too much at one time, the mind can only remember 10 or 20% of that. So I want to break it down, and I want people to feel the words that I'm saying of heaven and how it actually plays out within the realms of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was at a gathering yesterday and saw a whole different explanation of the spirit realms and what goes off there, and a realm that I honestly hadn't contemplated before, beyond the spirit realms, the entities, where we go once we have expelled all our lifetimes and are no longer searching or looking for life answers or spiritual answers, that kind of thing, when, as what a lot of people would call ascension. And it was explained to me that we go into a whole new realm whereby we are just pure energy, and all the questions and all the answers have gone, and that's when we start to...
Wait, Julie, can I stop you for 1 second? Because you're breaking up, and I'm trying to make out what you're saying. So I don't know if it's on my end or your end.
No, it's probably my end. I do apologize. I'm going to have to get off Facebook. If you're trying to ask questions on Facebook, I do apologize. It's one of those Monday mornings with bad internet. I do apologize for that. But what I was saying was, as you were saying, everybody has a different perspective of what heaven, hell, spirit, ghosts are all about. And as you said, religions, they all have the same destination, but it's the journey getting there that the different religions go through, and give us these explanations. How do we know which is the right one for us, etc., and how we equate that into life? So with your experiences and your understanding, and even Sharon over there in Cornwall and the experiences that she's going through that could eventually come into a similar experience that you're having, how do you cope with other people coming in and saying, well, I'm getting this, what happens?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, I now I could hear you, but I for some strange reason, it was just breaking up too much for me to actually understand what you were asking. I'm sorry.
Okay, basically, what I'm asking is, for people having various different beliefs, the different religions, the different
Yes.
experiences of spirit, ghosts. I mean, I've been working with spirit for 30 odd years, and I've never yet met one that I couldn't understand. Even poltergeists, even those who say their house is haunted, etc. I've always been able to find a connection and a reason and an explanation for it. How do you handle all these ones?
Well, living in a demonic haunting where there's ghosts and spirits present, and having different religions within different beliefs of everybody's life, the creator of everything, us as people, for our souls. And unfortunately, demons do exist. And some people ask me, do you see demons walking around? The answer is no. Do you see dark shadows and feel the negative energy in the presence of entities that are very, very powerful within the physical world? The answer is yes. And, a lot of people want to know the difference between a ghost and a demon, or a spirit and a demon. A regular ghost or spirit, someone that maybe you knew that crossed over, or a spirit that's just traveling through, will not have a negative effect on a person's mind to make them feel the dark and evilness that exists. When a demon is around, what he does is he takes that void within the human person and fills it with all negative energy and thoughts through the mind. Because demons are masterminds of manipulation of the mind that we have, and how we think and how we process things. While the human life is only maybe 70 to 90 years old, demons have been around for tens of thousands of years. So the way we try to comprehend them is almost impossible, because you never know what their next move is going to be. And some homes around the United States and Kingdom and around the globe are very, very hot spots for these entities to travel and affect people. Where some people can come into a home and feel nothing, others can have problems breathing, heart problems, and that also they start to feel very, very negative and drained. Is that when they investigate this house, their equipment goes dead rather quickly, like the batteries drain. And picture this, is that if no one's investigating, but yet a family lives under one roof, the entities will use the family as their energy source, and they will drain you and make you feel discomfort and very, very tired.
Yeah.
At that time, the entities are getting very strong. And when they're able to do that, they have a stronghold within the family. So, my case, the Horsefly Chronicles, we've had priests, we've had shaman, we've had Wiccan, we've had deacons, we've had reverends. We've went through every measure over the last 3 years to have different people and practices and faiths and religion to help remove entities. And I'm going to make this very clear. There is absolutely no magic wand that a person has to remove a demon. We have tested the waters with true measures. Sometimes people will say that my home has been blessed and there's nothing here. There was no demon in your house to begin with. These things know how to hide, they know how to come out, and they know how to manipulate the mind of the adults and other people around. Back 2 months ago, I had a priest come here, and not a bold blink, not a shadow, not a whisper, absolutely nothing. And I was curious to know why that was happening. He blessed every room, the basement, the upstairs, holy water. He said every prayer from the Catholic religion. When he left, 3 to 4 hours later, the dark shadows started to appear. So let's think about this for 1 second, is that they do play hide and seek, but yet they have no boundaries to be removed, because what I have found out is that no one has that wand to remove them. Up until this very day, this is why we have paranormal teams come to the home, investigators, psychics, mediums. We are working with a lot of different people within different fields of paranormal communities to help understand why they can't be removed and what exactly are they looking for and what is the longer term picture. Now, the simple solution and answer that I've heard many of times was to move. And of course, if it was that simple, I would have moved. But me and my family lived in 10 different locations, from Staten Island, New York, to New Jersey, to Pennsylvania. These are called attachments, these spirits. And when they attach themselves to you, your wife, or your children, they follow. It just so happens to be that the home that we live in now is like a magnetic field for them. And we're still trying to uncover that. And these entities come in and go as they please.
So have you investigated, not the house, but the land, the area, the surroundings? Have you found a cause, whether it be ley lines, whether it be ancient burial grounds? Have you found a source in the area around the house that could explain the history of the area and one of the reasons why it's so attractive to all this activity?
We have several mediums. One of them is Marie Vargas, working on this case, and Vanessa Hoggle. And what they found out was that Marie found out like about 6 weeks ago that the house is on a ley line. Recent discovery was that there was Indian tribes here. And there's a long story behind it, and we just found out that they were in eastern Pennsylvania in the Forks Township, which we live in. And having different people on and speaking to them, like Lori Johnson, they're shapeshifters. In the Indian terms, they're called skinwalkers. And what they do is they will try to look like you through you and manifest themselves, but they will bring out the most evil thing you could possibly in every second of the day. But when it happens, you know it because you don't feel right. Some of the experiments that we do with people looking into mirrors, and they see something else starting to transform in the mirror, and it's not them. So they're able to control the mind, and it's as if they're saying, if you want us to really show you what we can do, we will show you. These dark entities, again, have no boundaries. I've seen people get very sick, very ill, pass out, and sometimes I would try to say it's coincidence, right? But when you have so many different people from so many different religions and faiths that have been affected by this case, you start to wonder, what is the power that's making them so strong? Mm-hmm. And the portal in this home. It was a bedroom in the basement when we first moved here in 2010, and my son started to get very sick. So we took him out of the room and had a paranormal team come in, the very first one, and they caught a picture of what looks like a demon on the wall. Now, some people could say, well, it's Matrix, and of course, there is a lot of Matrix in pictures. But this particular picture stood out, and the same crocodile face was shown up years and years later through other teams on the floor, on the walls. It has this lizard look like this face. And it's one of the 72 demons that is very, very powerful, that I believe is controlling everything else around it. So, there's a lot of question marks in paranormal and spooky ghost stories, and some people say they want to believe, but they don't believe. I could tell everyone, the research that is being done by the Horsefly Chronicles team, myself living this life with my family and my wife, this is all real. This is not make-believe or a fairy tale, and a lot of people find it hard to tell their experiences and stories of the paranormal because they feel like they might be mocked or laughed at. But don't be afraid, because if you talk about it and vent about it, other people might come forward and say, I understand.
And that's exactly what happened today with Sharon joining in from Cornwall. She saw the advert for the show and wanted to know whether we could help her with what's happening in her place. Now, you mentioned the Horsefly Chronicles team. Who's on the team? Who is it that is there constantly, apart from yourself and your good wife?
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that, Julie. I'm really sorry. Just that you were breaking up so much. Again, I don't know why there's an interference, because I'm trying to make out what you're saying. I'm glad you can hear me, but...
It's my internet, or it's Spirit having a go with us. I was just saying that so many people, like you were saying, if we start talking about this, and Sharon has contacted us to help out with events that's going on with her. But you mentioned the Horsefly Chronicles team. Who's on your team? Who is it that's around with you working on this case? Do you want to give a shout out to your team?
Yeah, is there any way we can try to reconnect? Because I can't understand what's happening right now. Hello?
If we do that, we'll actually lose the show. Tracy.
Okay. Is there any way we could try to make the signal more clear? Because I can't hear anything. Yeah,
that's why we don't usually use. Tracy, what we'll do at the moment, guys, is we'll take a quick break, and we will go to some adverts for upcoming shows on SOC Radio. And in the meantime, we'll try and reconnect with Phil Siracusa and make this connection a little bit easier. Tracy, can you...
We will be right back with more from Myths and Legends. Don't go anywhere. Don't miss out on the next scary tale coming up after a short break. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Join us on SOC Radio. Host your own online radio show. We welcome inquiries and ideas for your own show live right here on SOC Radio. Share your knowledge, thoughts and abilities. Bring your ideas to life here with us on SOC Radio and spiritualistonline.com. Or join any of our shows as a special guest, speaker or presenter. Check out the liveliest spiritual chat show, the Spiritualist Open Circle Panel Forum, a monthly discussion show, or the Circle of Mediums, a weekly show sharing spirit messages and teaching all aspects of mediumship and psychic abilities. Or join our Christina on the monthly astrology show. Contact us now at socradioshows@gmail.com or facebook.com/socradio. Welcome back. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we will continue with more scary stories, experiences and messages from realms yet to be explained.
And welcome back to Myths and Legends with myself, Julie SOC. And my special guest tonight is, of course, Phil Siracusa from over there in the USA, who is bringing to SOC Radio his brand new show, the Horsefly Chronicles. He's going to be telling us in a weekly series the entire history of his experiences in his property. Now, this is one the paranormal world has been waiting for. And I've got to say, we're very proud, Phil, at SOC Radio, that you've taken us on board to tell the entire story. Something you've been asked about on various radio shows to do this. But you're bringing it to SOC Radio at the end of the month. So do you want to give us a little bit more about about the start of this? How did it get started for you?
Well, thank you, Julie. It's a pleasure to be on SOC Radio. I like it. I like what I see. It's very professional, and I feel like it's the best way to deliver the entire story. I've been asked for years to do it on different networks, but I think I found my home. So, again, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium. I am a man who is haunted by entities. And just to go back a little bit, when you ask how did you get into it, I remember having night tremors as a child. And through adolescence, back in the 70s, night tremors and nightmares were dismissed by parents as just a bad dream. But what happened is the older I became, the darker these attachments had become. And no one realized it back in the 70s. And simply I would see these dark shadows fly by. And I would even think it was maybe the lighting in the home, and I wasn't understanding it up until my early teenage years when I started to feel presence around, the negative energy. And again, trying to talk to people about that was very, very difficult because I was still trying to comprehend and understand it. So in paranormal, when people have these things like attachments that follow them, it's like putting a puzzle together. I'm now 50 years old, and a lot of this puzzle's together now. There's still more to go, but now I could tell people exactly how it works, why this happens to certain people, some of maybe the protective measures to take, and so many people that have been involved with this case, it just keeps going on. And I'm grateful for that because there's so many quality people within the paranormal community that help and work and research things. So, when we first started the show today, I think you were saying about a friend who was having experiences. And some people would say, oh, a spirit can't move furniture, or a spirit can't do this or that. Now, my walls don't bleed and my furniture does not fly through the air. However, because these entities know things that we don't know because they've been around for so long, they can do these things. They could do it in a way where it's almost as if it were psychosomatic within the human mind. You don't comprehend what's happening until after the fact. And these people think they're going crazy. The truth really is that entities could do almost anything they want in the physical realms. And I've learned that over and over again. And that's why I've had the churches down to my home. I've had shamans, Wiccans, Deacons. I've done all this. I do it not just for me and my family, but to show the world how it's done. And, my words are this, that when and if every entity is gone from the Host of Life Chronicles home, I will tell the world how it was done. But until that time, we're still documenting and researching it like never before.
We will be right back with more from Myths and Legends. Don't go anywhere. Don't miss out on the next scary tale coming up after a short break. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Welcome back. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we will continue with more scary stories, experiences and messages from realms yet to be explained.
And welcome back to SOC Radio with special guest with Phil Siracusa. I was asking Phil a question because unfortunately Julie's had internet issues with the storm over in New Zealand. The name of Horsefly Chronicles, Phil, can you explain that and how you got the name of it, please?
Yes, back in the 80s, when some of the most bizarre, weirdest things would happen, a horsefly would circle me. And, I thought it was coincidence at first, but then over and over again, maybe 4 or 5 times a year, I'd be circled by a horsefly when something evil was around. And it wasn't up until the year of 2000 when I was working for an old company out in New Jersey, and the horsefly just kept circling and circling. And I went in my car, and this is what really struck me, is that the horsefly was now circling the car. I drove from where I was working back to the office in South Plainfield, New Jersey, and when I got out of the car, the horsefly was on the hood of the car. And I started to realize that this thing knows how to play with the mind. While it's a regular horsefly, it's as if it was its own poltergeist, and it's an entity saying, I know what you're doing when you're doing it. And it's very, very scary and interesting. And up until this very day, this still happens at random, where it'll just appear. Now, people that first got involved with the Horsefly Chronicles as a project manager or as a medium back years ago that live in different states were telling me stories about a horsefly circling them. And I found it hard to believe. But then more and more stories came in about a horsefly, the dark fly, and the dead of winter. And then things would happen to these people that were uncontrollable. So that's where the name came from. And then Chronicles is because it's an ongoing story that we can't put it to an end.
Okay. Looks like Julie's joined us again, so I'll let Julie take over. And thank you for answering my question, Phil.
Sure. Thank you, Tracy. Hi, Julie.
I guess she's not. Okay, another question. While Julie's trying to join us. You were saying earlier about people like your priests and all that.
Hi, Phil. I do apologise about that.
Oh, that's okay. It happens. It's weather, and it's it's live stream, so it does happen. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
I'm here. I can hear.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay, I'll keep going, Julie. So Phil, as I was saying about priests and all that, when they enter your house, how does it actually work? Does it...
Sorry, guys, my internet...
Okay, are we waiting for Julie to get back on, or can answering the question?
Yeah. So, can you answer my question? So, if somebody walks into your house, what actually happens? How does it work?
So let me explain to you how it works. If it's a friend, cousin, relative, somebody that's not here to provoke or anything like that, nothing happens. If it's someone's here to remove, provoke, investigate, then the entities will act different. Now, what's interesting is, you can hear me, right, Tracy?
Yep, I can, yep.
Okay. Now, here's what's interesting to me. Now, listen very carefully. 2 years ago, there was a ministry here. There was a black fly in the house circling the ministry and myself. The air in the house was very thick and heavy, and you could feel a lot of negative energy. Sort of like after a lightning and thunderstorm when that fog hits and you're walking outside and you can feel that static discharge. It was a very, very bad day for the ministry and my family because the entities knew what was about to happen, that they were going to try to be removed from the Horsefly Chronicles home. Lo and behold, it didn't work, unfortunately, but they did try their best. Now, 2 months ago, a priest was here. He walks in, and absolutely nothing happens. Nothing. No dark shadows, no negative energy, no fly, no horsefly, nothing. And I found that interesting because 3 to 4 hours later, the dark shadows start to appear in the house again. So I asked myself, why the first time there was a standoff between good and evil, but yet the second time around, there was no standoff. They just waited, and they came back. That today still puzzles me, and I still try to comprehend that. And I think they just got more wiser to what my plan was. Because evil finds your weakest link, meaning demons, and not only that, but they know what you're going to do before you do it. And I think that the last time around they knew it, but they weren't going to battle with it. They just let it ride out and just came right back in the house. So that's very interesting, and I hope people understand that. That sometimes if you want to have things removed or a deliverance, these things know what you're going to do and what you think, and they'll just wait the game out and then come straight back at you.
Whoa.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me now?
Okay,
Yes.
Julie.
I'm going to blame Phil for this one because, believe it or not, for that last half hour of the show, our router was actually telling us we were offline. And I've been trying to get back online for the last 5-10 minutes, and it's telling us that we're online, and we weren't online. So Spirit and or the Storms here in New Zealand are playing fun with our internet connections. We'll just put it down to that, shall we? But thanks, Tracy, for stepping in there. Very interesting, Phil, what you were saying about the standoff. And it's like the naughty child. When you have visitors, they are perfect behaved. They are brilliant, and it's, please, ma'am, can I have this? Please, ma'am, can I have that? And they don't come and interrupt you. But as soon as the visitors have gone, they're running around like anything, jumping all over the place and won't listen. So spirit and I always say, like as in life, so in spirit, that we can have the most amazing connection with them, and you can have the ones that love to play games. So
Yes.
I was fascinated with that story there, and it's like Sharon is talking to me and about her house in Cornwall. She says exactly the same thing. When one certain person is in the house, absolutely nothing happens. When her partner comes to visit, when he's not working away, absolutely nothing happens. Yet when he's away, the house is full of activity. You were talking about attachments earlier on today, how not only are people, and for me, you since a childhood, you call yourself not a psychic, not a medium, but you've been connected to them since childhood. You've gone through the night terrors, the nightmares, the not understanding what entities and that are around you. And as I was as a child, I was lucky. As a child, I got nothing. As it was later on in life when they came to me, but my sister experienced my grandfather telling her stories cuddled up in bed at night. My brother was a sleepwalker. Now, he doesn't, that I know of, communicate with spirit, but certain children are connected, and we're not taught about that from childhood. We're not taught that there are other entities than humans on this planet that we need to be able to understand. And what yourself and Sharon are telling us is that for some people, just doesn't happen. They are closed off. They do not see anything other than the physical, if you like, but the spiritual does not affect them, so they do not show up. For others, as soon as they're on board or in the room or in the house, the activity starts. Have you pinpointed in your house who is the focus for all the activity? Is it your wife? Is it yourself? Are there others who come in the house?
So basically, let's narrow it down. It's myself. It's always been myself from childhood. But here's the typical day of my family. There's 6 of us here. And what would happen is that if we start talking about ghosts, or maybe something happened last night, one of the kids is saying that the TV was going on and off, or lights were flickering. Once you open that door of conversation, the entity knows, because they're ahead of us in our thinking pattern, and then they entice on that and they feed off of it. And then all of a sudden, the next magic trick, if that's what you want to call it, will come out. And it goes after that. And then there's a lot of negative energy within the family, a lot of arguing out of nowhere and fighting. When that happens, the energy is delivered to the entity, and they're getting stronger within the physical world because that's what they feed off of. And then, if you don't control the situation, it can get very ugly. And that's why I tell people when I do lectures, I'm like, if you feel like you're in a confrontation with a family member or a friend, and it might be a spiritual thing, stop and walk away and get out of the house, or wherever you are, get far away for like 10 minutes and come back. Most of the time, it's gone. Because what you're seeing is something that's not there, that's feeding off of you. It's an invisible energy. So a lot of people have listened to my advice. It helps. It doesn't mean that the entity's gone by any means. It means that for that period of time...
Yeah, we can create that though, can't we?
Yes, we can. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can. And you have to break that connection immediately before it gets out of hand.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I always like to explain things in life as well as in spirit. And we can create those situations. We know when we walk into a room crowded with people, whether the air is full of tension, the phrase, you can cut the air with a knife, or whether it's a happy party that you can go in and enjoy. We know when we meet certain people, whether there is an aura or a stance around them that we don't like, that we don't get along with. And of course, this is where people get into the cold reading bit and the auto-suggestion bit, that if you walk into a property expecting spiritual activity, then you're going to get it. If you walk into a property without expecting and full of light and love and all this, that you won't see it. So the skeptics have the ability, if you like, to switch off energy because they're not prepared to listen or to see it. So they switch off any activity below that level. You understand that?
I do, but this is what I did. 2 years ago, I had a paranormal team come here, and before they entered the house, I said the house is very loving and peaceful, and it's very warming and soothing, and we just want to capture the friendly ghost. I did that for a reason. I did it because if there was something evil, and I just gave them the precognition of the setting of what the house was like, it's this pure house of love, that maybe they were going to just say, oh, these are really nice earthbound spirits. Well, they all start to follow me walking down into the basement, and the first person goes, you're wrong, that you're lying, or you're wrong, this is bad. And then through the chain of command, like a domino effect, each one of them felt the presence of these entities. And I did that for an experiment and a test to see if it was psychosomatic through power of thought, that they would believe what I say, or if it was the actual truth. And they deciphered was, you're dealing with dark entities here and you can't pull the wool over our eyes. And I was impressed with their abilities to find that out through audio and pictures as well.
Mhm. Yeah, like I say, it's the atmosphere alone can change, and it depends on the sensitivity of the person around you. Now, you say there are 6 people living in the house. Is there any of those others that experience things when you're not around?
Everybody has experiences, and we've caught it on picture where you would see the faces change of some of the children or my wife, and I'm not around because this is where they are, the entities. You know, a lot of it, we can say it's theory, right? Because you don't actually see the entity for what it really is.
So you're actually experiencing, sorry, you
Go ahead, I'm listening. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I just heard something there. Yeah, have we lost connection again?
Yeah, and I'm in the portal, by the way, the room. I lock myself in the portal to do radio shows. It's the room that's the most evil in the home, only because I have children upstairs, and I want to make sure there's no sounds from the outside world when I deliver these shows.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned there about the seeing entities face images over the face of your children. That's what we as mediums call transfiguration, or trance work, or it's like a hologram. You see an image of spirit over the face of the medium when they're in trance or when they're doing spirit communication. And you're saying you've seen this over the face of your children?
Oh yeah, I have the pictures.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll send them to you.
When we're doing your show, coming up, folks, at the end of the month, 27th of August, my birthday, in the US.
Happy birthday.
28th of August here in the Southern Hemisphere, we have got Phil Siracusa coming to SOC Radio with the entire story of the Horsefly Chronicles. And what we're going to do each week, Phil is going to be telling you part of the story from the beginning right through. It's a full series. What we would love to do, Phil, is each week with your encore of your show, which will go out, of course, on our YouTube page, on our websites and Facebook. We would like to include some of those photographs. So each week, when you tell a story, can you forward us photographs that are maybe linked to those, not only of the house, but of the family and the investigations, etc.?
Yes, of course. Yes.
That would be very interesting to see. I know mediums who have worked for years and sat in circles for years to develop trance and transfiguration, and to see. And I started doing it in open circle without even thinking about it, just giving off the usual messages. And I was told to take a step back because my granddad and my uncle David were coming through on my, and people could see him on my face. And that's what. Have you, when that's happened, what I want to ask is, have you found any ectoplasm or any residual effect on the children?
Yes. I'm not too familiar with the ectoplasm, to be honest with you, but what happens is this. The children will start to be very angry, and they start to say things they don't know what they're saying, and I don't even know what they're saying. Not speaking in tongues, but very close to it. And then I will take out my camera and take quick pictures. And what you see is pretty horrifying, and I will forward those to you. So I even sent those pictures recently to a couple of people to look at, and it's mind-blowing. It's scary. It's scary because what you see is what you get. It's the real deal happening. This home, the energy here is unprecedented. Some of the things that are happening here within the family, just we're clueless to a lot of this stuff. And even some paranormal teams are thrown back because it's not your typical ghost haunting. There's so much happening at so many different times that you try to wonder what's exact. Is it you, or is it the home? Is it the people around the neighborhood? And as we start to do this series, I'm going to go into every single detail, but I will say that my job and my mission will always be to be bringing these people forward the best, that have the abilities to help us understand. Some people call these spirits Egyptian gods. Others call them demons from hell.
Yeah.
And others call them interdimensional shadow people. They're able to do things that it's if the mind is able to communicate with them through a sort of mental telepathy. The room that I'm in now, let me just give you an example. We call it the portal because the paranormal team gave it the name years ago. If you think something in the room and a person is outside the house on a K2 meter or a device that picks up words, the spirit can read your mind and tell the person outside what's going on. And that, to me, is second to none in paranormal research because they're able to understand you without speaking a word.
Yep. Phil, just a second, love. Okay, I don't know if you guys can still hear me because, again, my internet is telling me we've lost connection.
I hear you.
Tracy, if you can hear me, can we go to break? We're going to listen again to more stories from Phil Siracusa about his home over there in...
We will be right back with more from Myths and Legends. Don't go anywhere. Don't miss out on the next scary tale coming up after a short break. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Spiritualist Open Circle Forum Panel Show, the liveliest spiritual chat show online. The Spiritualist Open Circle Panel Forum Chat Show with hosts, guest speakers and panellists discussing and challenging all areas of spiritual thought, ability, knowledge and more. Ever wanted to voice your thoughts and help set standards within the field? Confront those who bring the work down, or simply share your ideas and help bring Spirit's work into the light of day and give spiritualism the recognition of all as a true faith and way of life? Then this is the show for you. Every last Friday of the month, 10 p.m. UK time. Join the team. Astrology Chat with Chrissy Lincoln, Psychological Body and Spirit. Monthly chat show, last Tuesday of the month, 1 to 3 p.m. New Zealand time. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our three vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Premium membership on spiritualistonline.com. Join our teaching lyceum, classes and courses to certificate and diploma levels. It's an option, not an obligation. Still only £30 per year for unlimited seminars, guest sessions, members' moments, voice members included on radio chats and TV shows, full certificate courses and qualifications, members' promotions of sites, books and services, discounts on SOC services, one-on-one teaching, private classes, members-only Facebook. Upgrade your membership today. Joint family group options. See spiritualistonline.com. Join us on SOC Radio. Host your own online radio show. We welcome inquiries and ideas for your own show live right here on SOC Radio. Share your knowledge, thoughts and abilities. Bring your ideas to life here with us on SOC Radio at spiritualistonline.com. Or join any of our shows as a special guest, speaker or presenter. Check out the liveliest spiritual chat show, the Spiritualist Open Circle Panel Forum, a monthly discussion show, or the Circle of Mediums, a weekly show sharing spirit messages and teaching all aspects of mediumship and psychic abilities. Or join our Christina on the monthly astrology show. Contact us now at socradioshows@gmail.com or facebook.com/SOCradio. Welcome back. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we will continue with more scary stories, experiences and messages from realms yet to be explained.
Go.
And welcome back to Myths and Legends. We are having fun with Spirit today, and with storms across New Zealand affecting our internet connections and the Skype call with the lovely Phil Siracusa, who is bringing to SOC Radio on August 27th, 28th, depending where you are in this lovely world, a brand new show, the Horsefly Chronicles. It's the entire story of the most haunted house in the USA. They've got everything going off in that house. A family of 6 experiencing everything that you can think of from spirit, from demons, and activity in the house. Now then, August 27th is the time to watch, to keep an eye out, and to tune in on SOC Radio for Phil Siracusa's Horsefly Chronicles, and that will be at usually just after this show, and it will be at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, that's New York time, on a Monday, I believe. Check out the SOC Radio website for the times in your area. In the meantime, let's tell a few stories from our lovely Facebook groups. Ghosts, the Paranormal, GPSML, Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural, and Paranormal on Facebook. And of course, Tell Me a Ghost Story. Now, I've been looking at all the stories that have been going off over the last few weeks. There's a lot more asking the questions, how does this happen? There's the usual stories of all the various different experiences that families are having. And there are also the more personal stories. And this is what we want to hear. If you're listening to us from those websites on Facebook, Tell Me a Ghost Story and Ghosts, Paranormal, Supernatural, Myths and Legends, we want to hear your stories. So send them in to us at socradioshows@gmail.com. That's socradioshows@gmail.com. Send us in your stories. And if you want to join us on the show in the future, contact us on Skype by adding Circle of Mediums to your Skype. That's all one word, Circle of Mediums, to your Skype, and give us a message and we'll bring you in on the show. Now, right at the top of the show today, I mentioned a young lady over in Cornwall in England who's having some amazing spiritual activity in her house. And she was very interested in the today's show, introducing Phil Siracusa and his experiences, because she's going through something very similar, having various things happening in her house, from chairs standing on their end so you can't sit on them, to things moving across the rooms. She's also hearing voices and sounds within the house. Now, we've said before, all you have to do is cancel out the physical. Is it kids playing around? Is it noises in the house as they settle down when the heating goes on in winter after a lovely warm summer, and the heating goes on and the house is getting really, really cold and then really warm very fast? You will hear creaks and groans of any house, and I don't care how old it is or how new it is. Structures move with heating. You hear it when you're out in a lovely summer warm morning. You'll hear the windows moving and creaking. You'll hear doors creaking. It's why doors don't open in winter, because they get sodden wet and they swell in their frames. And during the winter, the door is very hard to open. But in the summer, when it's purely out and dried and it fits within the frame normally, then your doors don't creak as they open. So you've got to deal with getting rid of the physical information first. When you're talking about chairs being stood up on end, or furniture getting thrown around, kitchen drawers opening, then you've got to look at what's causing it. Yes, children, as Phil says, when he was a child, he experienced night terrors, he experienced entities, he had paranormal experiences as a child. That tells me, as a medium, that he is a conduit for spirit. He is connected to spirit. He doesn't maybe call himself a psychic or a medium because he doesn't communicate with them, but he is a conduit. He is a magnet, if you like. Spirit are trying to connect to him. And if you've got children in your house, you've got to ask yourself, who is the intuitive one? Who is the sensitive one? Who is the one that is going through emotional or physical issues? Because spirit will connect to them a lot easier than they will the skeptic or the I don't believe in this, or the ones that will not believe things until they see things. So children are a great magnet for spirit activity. And what I would say to Sharon is, not knowing the whole case, but just talking to her quickly this morning, that there are the possibility that she or one or other of the family is a conduit for spirit. Find that connection and you'll start to find and answer questions as to why spirit are active in the home. For me, I've always been able to find a solution, a connection. Is it granddad trying to look after the child? Is it a family member or loved one trying to come through and trying to get your attention? When there is absolutely no answer that way and we cannot make that connection, then we've got to look at the house itself. Is the spirit or the activity linked to the house? Also, is it the first time? When you move from property to property, as I have done many times in my lifetime, and spirit have always come with me. My son, I've told the story of us moving house and him getting upset because his spirit sister, he thought, would not follow us, when in fact, yes, she did. And to prove the fact, she took all his freshly put up posters off his walls and laid them in a pile in his bedroom floor, just to prove that she was still with him. So you've got to think about it. If they go from house to house to house with you, then they are definitely connected to you, to your family, to your loved ones. And I don't care if you have met them or not. My grandfather died when I was 3 months old, and yet he is with me constantly from spirit. Because I did not know him other than those 3 months, it doesn't matter. The love link, the family connection is there. When you're talking about a new property that you've moved in, or an old property that you've moved into, and you're starting to get new, unexplained activity, I would be looking at the property, as I mentioned with Phil, and the Horsefly Chronicles property. They've investigated the area. They have found that there was Native American activity in that area. Now, there's the whole history of the Native American tribe that we need to go into. Is there a burial ground in the area? Has properties been built on old sacred grounds? That kind of thing, which can all spark off activity. Okay? And whether you see it as loved ones coming through, or demonic energies, or other entities, we often see spirit as we would love to see them. When we're brought up with lovely fairy tales of unicorns and dragons, etc., I have spoken to people who've seen dragons in their living rooms, and yet when the messages have come through, it's been from loved ones. But because they could not imagine seeing their dead loved one in the living room, they linked to them the fairy stories of childhood and saw the dragons. But when we got the messages over and they accepted and acknowledged that spirit activity was around them, they started to see their loved ones instead. Phil will tell you of other entities coming through the property that he lives in, and the history of the Horsefly Chronicles, and tell you of other entities. I can only talk from my experiences, my knowledge of spirit. Yes, I have seen shadow people, not in the scary mode that many have seen them. When I saw shadow people, I was working the night shift on a garage forecourt, and out of the corner of my eye, as I sat at the desk, I saw something playing in and out of the lights. From the darkest of night, coming out of the street and into the lights, was a shadow person. And then there were two of them. And I'm fascinated with this, and I'm thinking, I've never seen these before. So I went outside, and I just quietly watched as they played hide and seek, or peekaboo, in the darkness, diving in under the lights to be seen as shadow people, and then back out into the darkness to disappear. And they did this for about an hour. Now, this was my first experience, and I tried communicating with them. They were oblivious to me. They weren't paying attention to me. They were too busy playing their game of hide and seek or peekaboo. Interesting. For some, shadow people are the scary, nightmarish images, and the shadows stood in the corner that they cannot communicate with. To me, this is another form of spirit manifestation, whether it's dragons, entities, or shadow people, whether it's the headless horseman of old days still travelling the byways of old England, or whether it's the graveyard where you see somebody come up out of the grave. Saw an interesting one on Facebook, and of course I'm sure many people have seen it on YouTube, of the old asylum with a, in fact no, this was a working hospital, and a body had been left on a corridor in the mortuary waiting to be attended. But as the security cameras saw, as that body laid on the gurney in the corridor, an entity sat up from that body, took a look around its surroundings, and was seen to get up and float away over through the corridor, going straight through two closed double doors. Now this is on camera. This is not somebody sitting there with a camera or a phone taking photographs. This is a security camera that runs 24/7. Why would anybody sit there and think, oh, I'm going to make this a ghost? We've talked before about the apps on phones that can give you the images or additions of having a spirit in the background. Some of them are quite obvious. You can see the square around the image. You can see the pixelation is totally different to the rest of the image. Some of them are not so easy to pick out. But come on, let's hear your stories. You can join us anytime on Myths and Legends or any other SOC radio show by joining us on Skype with Circle of Mediums. Add us a friend, give us a little message, and we'll add you to the show. Or you can email us at socradioshows@gmail.com, and we will put your story to the test with our psychics and mediums on various different ones of our shows. Coming up, more stories from Myths and Legends from our Facebook groups. Tell us a ghost story. Sorry, tell me a ghost story. The one with all capital letters. And of course, ghosts. I will get this one right first time somewhere along the road. It's ghosts, the paranormal, supernatural, Myths and Legends on Facebook. Just to finish off, Louise Belevelin, I think that's her name, I do apologise for the pronunciation, has recently shared a story. The Valkyrie opera play, Richard Wagner and King Ludwig II. And Richard Wagner graveside, a legendary history and gravesite and in Germany. Now, whether you believe in vampires and Valkyrie, this is a long story. And a lot of information to take in, but I'll give you the breakdown. An opera by Richard Wagner, May 13th of February. He was a German composer, theatre director, and conductor who's primarily known for his operas and some of his later works and music dramas. Unlike most opera composers, Wagner wrote both the libretto and music for each of his stage works, initially establishing his reputation as a composer of works in the romantic vein of Weber and Meyerbeer. Wagner revolutionized opera through his concept of total work of art. There is a long word there I'm not going to try and pronounce, but it's meant total work of art. So his whole drama and opera became a total work of art, which he sought to synthesize the poetic, the visual, the musical, and the dramatic arts with music subsidiary to drama, and which was announced in a series of essays between 1849 and 1852. Wagner realized these ideas most fully in the first half of the 4-hour opera cycle, Der Ring der Neblugen, The Ring of Neblugen. Wagner's fortunes took a dramatic upturn in 1864 when King Ludwig II succeeded the throne of Bavaria at the age of 18, and the young king, an ardent admirer of Wagner's operas and the composer, brought much of Munich. Wagner's late dramas are considered his masterpieces. And I'm reading very fast here, trying to cut it down. Now, the Valkyrie play The first two components of the Ring of Cycle de Rheingold, the Rheingold, which was completed in 1854, and the Die Valkyrie, which was finished in 1856, in Das Rheingold, with its relentless talky realism and its absence of lyrical numbers. Wagner came very close to musical ideals of 1849-51 essays, which contains virtually a traditional aria, and the quasi-choral appearance of Valkyries themselves shows more operatic traits, but has been assessed by Barry Millington as the music drama that most satisfactorily embodies the theoretical principles of opera and drama. Now, of course, when you're talking about opera and Valkyrie, there are many, many stories of operas that have been haunted, and the stages being haunted, the theatres being haunted from various different characters, and the actors who took them. It came, of course, that in theatre you weren't allowed to say certain things backstage because it would haunt and cause accidents that would haunt the history of the theatre. Was this an early representation with Wagner's theatre and his bringing to life, if you like, experiences in his operas. The prelude to one third act is a familiar in the familiar Ride of the Valkyrie, so often heard in the concert room. When you think about when the story tells us the curtain rises on another wild scene on the Valkyries' Rock, where 4 of the Valkyries are assembled after their celestial ride. Again, there is a storm and a tempest. One after another of the rest of the Valkyries arrive, each preceded by a flash of lightning. Last of all comes Brunhild, carrying the terrified, half-unconscious Sieglind, with whom she fled from Wotan after the scene at the end of the previous act. Now, we all know the name Brunhild strikes horror in the field of theatre, and this is a scene where of exquisite pathos and striking beauty on one of the gems in the colossal drama. These theatre stories and operas have invoked many a horrific story in theatre. Have you got your own story of what goes off in theatre? I know actors and actresses who have refused to work on films or operas or in the stage because of the horrors that have been experienced in various different theatres, linked to many plays, including, of course, Phantom of the Opera. Many actresses will not act or will not take part in a production of Phantom of the Opera because of the horror stories and hauntings that have come from it. Okay, let's take a quick break, and hopefully we'll try and get Phil Siracusa back for the last half of the show, if the internet will let us and his connection will let us, and of course those Spirit who have been playing in the background throughout the whole show. We head back now to the producer with Tracy for more information about SOC Radio.
We will be right back with more from Myths and Legends. Don't go anywhere. Don't miss out on the next scary tale coming up after a short break. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our 3 vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Jenny Lee brings you spiritual insights, covering various topics from remote viewing to her upcoming book launch. Check it all out on our schedule live in the SOC Radio chat room on spiritualistonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOC Radio. Spirit Weavers with Jodie White Wolf Morrison, a weekly 1-hour radio show, Thursdays 8 p.m. UK time, featuring those who are dedicated to living their spirituality and exploring how that is woven into their everyday lives through their work, practices and beliefs. Various SOC members from Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum sharing their abilities, knowledge and more. Dates and times will vary. Live in the SOC Radio chat room on spiritualistonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOC Radio. Spiritualist Open Circle Forum Panel Show, the liveliest spiritual chat show online. The Spiritualist Open Circle Panel Forum Chat Show with hosts, guest speakers and panelists discussing and challenging all areas of spiritual thought, ability, knowledge and more. Ever wanted to voice your thoughts and help set standards within the field? Confront those who bring the work down, or simply share your ideas and help bring Spirit's work into the light of day, and give spiritualism the recognition of all as a true faith and way of life? Then this is the show for you. Every last Friday of the month, 10 p.m. UK time. Join the team. Welcome back. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we will continue with more scary stories, experiences and messages from realms yet to be explained.
And welcome back to Myths and Legends. You are not going to believe the fun we're having today. We have got Phil Siracusa back on the call. He's had to move up out of the portal. He's taken to the 3rd floor of the Horsefly Chronicles property to get a clear connection. And as long as we're fine talking amongst ourselves, it seems to be fine. As soon as we go live, we seem to be having problems. So we've hopefully moved, and we're going to give half an hour before the spirits catch up with Phil up there on the 3rd floor. How are you doing, Phil?
I have to laugh. It's amazing how spirits travel. So it could be a number of things tonight. I'm sorry, folks, for what's happening, but I decided to get out of the portal on the 3rd floor now. So hopefully we can finish up the show and take some questions and all that good stuff.
Yeah, okay, before they catch up with us, I have got 2 questions come through to me on Facebook. I'm amazed you got through to me, guys. I've got Teresa in the UK is asking, she has a area of her house whereby she daren't go on her own. It's a little room, it's used as a cubby room. It was going to be her little sunroom, but it's ended up a storeroom because nobody likes sitting in there. She says, what do you think? Should she get it investigated?
Keep in mind that once you investigate something that you think might be haunted, a door that was a crack open is going to be wide open. So the possibilities are that the entity can get stronger in that area. So if I were you, I would play it as if it didn't exist. until it got really active, and then take other measures. But remember, bringing somebody else in, it could open up a number of things in that one area.
Mm-hmm. So it's the do I or don't I? Do you want it to make a big thing of it, or do you want to go as you are and keep it as a storeroom? It sounds like it's been rather useful as a storeroom at the moment. If it was an area that you had to use, someplace where people were coming and going, then I would suggest maybe getting somebody in to talk to you about it. Because it's only affecting one area of the home, would you say that's more linked to the home or linked to the person in your experience, Phil?
The home.
Definitely the home, yes. That's what.
Yeah, because then other rooms would be affected as well if it was the person. Like the horsefly home, for example, different areas of the house are affected, and the basement's the stronghold. So it's just a matter of time before they follow you around. But if you pay no mind to it, just sometimes, it won't be that bad. Once you put the match to the spark, you have a problem.
Mm-hmm. What about the acknowledgement side of it? One of the main things we do as mediums is to, it's like the naughty child, again, going back to life experiences. If you ignore the naughty child, do they end up behaving and knowing if they come to you respectfully and ask, then they'll get a response. If you acknowledge them, they will get a response. If you ignore them, they will continue to try and get your attention. So it's finding that happy medium, isn't it? How to get them to behave and respect, as well as how to acknowledge that they are there without sparking off that whole entity or activity that can come with acknowledging.
Yes, never provoke something that you don't see. That's the first thing. Is I would never say, oh, there's no such thing, I don't believe in you, spirits be gone. Don't do things like that, because you're antagonizing what you don't see. Mm-hmm. The second thing is take protective measures, and if you're not acknowledging but yet something is happening, that means it wants your attention, and sometimes ghosts need to tell you something that could be very, very important to us in the physical world. It could be alarming that they're trying to say, hey, we have to talk to you, there's a veil between us, just try to hear me out. So you want to have an open mind and not completely shut it out, because it might save your life. And I've seen cases where spirits have to get through to people because they shouldn't be at a certain place at a certain time. And lo and behold, there were tragedies at that certain time. So always have an open mind, but don't go into it too much. Acknowledge it, and then if it really wants to talk to you, then try to find somebody with abilities and credibility to try to communicate with that spirit.
That is an important thing. If you don't know what you're doing, ask somebody who does. Don't try and do it yourself. I've seen too many people mess with it. I've got to ask you.
Well, yeah, I just want to jump in really quick. I want to give an example, Julie.
Yeah,
I want to give an example that's very important about that, spirit communication. Well, I live a haunted life, and there are dark entities here. There are good entities that have followed me, too. And an ex-girlfriend, we were in Staten Island, and her sister wanted to talk to somebody that she knew that passed away, that he lived in New York City. And this was in 1998. Well, we did the Ouija board, which I don't recommend, but we did it. And this guy came through. His name was Jonathan, and he's telling me through the board, through the plaquette, as he's moving it, to tell her to get out of New York City. And I started to have tears, and then it was very emotional, and I kept asking, why does she have to leave New York City where she was living? He says, tragedy's coming in the future, get out. Lo and behold, was September 11th, and spirits sometimes can warn us in the physical world way ahead of time, because let's not forget now, there's no time in their world.
Exactly.
So sometimes we have to listen, and luckily she did acknowledge and take protective measures and move to Staten Island out of New York City.
Mm-hmm. I've got an example of that as well. This was years ago. As many of my listeners know, my mother was a medium, and way back when we lived in Nottingham in the UK, my father was in the pits. He worked in the mines, and they were planning a move. He'd been offered a transfer to Ilkley mine, and for no reason, my mother always had a bad feeling when they were arranging this move. And then one night, as she was laid in bed, she saw the image of her father in the mirror at the foot of the bed. They had a dressing table at the end of the wall, on the side in front of the bed, and it had a mirror on. And she saw his face in the mirror. And being my mother, she went, "And what do you want at this time of the night?" He basically normally would have talked to her, no problem. This night, he basically said and repeated, "Do not go to Ilkley. Do not go to Ilkley." And she couldn't get anything else out of him. She went back to sleep. She got up the next morning, and the paperwork were coming through. Were they going to go to Ilkley? And she said, "No, we're not going to Ilkley. I don't care what you say, what you want to do. We're not going to Ilkley." And they didn't. They stayed put. My dad stayed at Thoresby Pit in Nottinghamshire. And within weeks or months, and you can check this out, there was a massive explosion and a tragedy with miners at Ilkley Pit. My grandfather told my mother, "Don't go to Ilkley." So yes, spirit can give you warnings and give you information. We've all had that feeling of having to get out of a place quickly for no reason, for no logical explanation, and we just know we have to get out of there, and we find out later that something went off that we missed. So yes, we do need to have that fine balance between no, don't want to know, stay away from it, to getting in the right person to communicate when you've got activity in the house. I've got to say this, I wasn't going to do this, I swore blind I wasn't going to do this, Phil. I've got to ask you, I'm going to go back to those photographs of the children. I've just been given images in the last 5 minutes. When can I just ask, I'm not going to ask, I'm going to state it. One of your child has a scratched eye in one of the experiences in the house, am I correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. That child is very sensitive in her own self. I'm not talking about to do with spirit or anything, but her own emotions, her own abilities are very sensitive. She takes things very close to heart, and she sees things about people before they know it. Am I correct?
Yes, but it's a he, not a she.
Right, yeah, okay, it's me just talking he, she's.
Oh, yes.
But this child is very sensitive. It's even more important that it's a he, because a lot of people don't see the sensitivity in boys and in men. It's not known for them to be sensitive. They're called wimps and whatever, sissies, if they're sensitive. You know what it's like. So, but what I got, as you were telling the story earlier on, a significant pain in my eye, my left eye. I knew that there was an eye scratched during an incident. I know that this child is very sensitive, and I also, you say, living this, you must take things sometimes with a pinch of salt. Oh yeah, here we go, like my mother did. What do you want to talk about at this time of night? Please listen to this child. He has something to tell you. He is seeing things that will give you answers, right? They are trying, the scratch on the eye, as you were saying, is for him not to ignore his abilities. They were trying to stop him from seeing what is the truth behind one of these experiences. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because I literally got the image, the scratched eye, the pain in the eye. I wanted to cover my eye. I didn't want to see what was coming. This child needs to understand what his ability is and what he sees around other people, not only spirit-wise, but in character. I'm going to tell you that he is seeing somebody around you that you need not trust, that you are giving the benefit of the doubt to somebody, and this kid is going to be telling you, don't trust this guy. He's not what you think he is. So see it not only from the spiritual side.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. Are you a medium?
Yes.
Okay, so you're picking up No, I'm asking that because you're picking up right now the horsefly home.
My guides are telling me this is one of the experiences that happened in the Horsefly Chronicles. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to connect it in. I wanted to be fresh and listen to your stories. I've heard about the Horsefly Chronicles over the last few years across the internet, of course, and the paranormal world, but I didn't want to connect in. But I do know that this child is not only very sensitive to himself, but to others, their emotions, their conditions, and he will give you a lot of advice in your life that you need to take note of, because he can see what's behind people as well as the source of spirit.
Very true.
Okay, so that's just come through as you were telling that earlier story, and it's cleared, the pain's gone from my eye, so I know that the message is given over. I also want to talk to you about his grandfather.
Okay.
Okay, his grandfather's in spirit?
Well, no, the two grandfathers are still alive.
Okay, is it your grandfather that's in spirit? Because I
never met my grandfather.
Yeah, as I've said before, that doesn't matter. The family link, the relationship link is there. What I'm saying is I have got a grandfather in spirit here. I thought I was still connected to the sun, but I'm obviously connecting to you. I've got a grandfather spirit in energy here in spirit, and I want to go on your dad's side of the family.
Okay.
It's not mum's dad, it's dad's dad. Okay?
Okay.
Right? And I want to talk to you about this gentleman who I'm getting worked with soil with his hands. I don't know if he was a gardener or it was something else. Normally when it's a gardener, I get the wellies and the shovel and, I can see that he's a gardener. But all I'm getting is piles and piles of soil in his hands, as if he's digging the grave. I'm going to say this again. This gentleman dug his own grave. He put himself there. He didn't take his own life, but in his life, he drove himself to an early grave. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Right. He worked himself into it as if he dug his own. When we say a gentleman about people that they always have one foot in the grave. Well, this guy literally drove himself throughout his life. If he wasn't doing daft things like skydiving that could have killed him at any moment, he was working to the point where he would wear himself out. And he literally drove himself at 50 miles an hour and died at 70 instead of 80 because he literally took life in his own hands. Yes?
Wow.
Right? What I'm saying to you and what he's given me for you at the moment is you need to take your life control in your hands. Right? You're allowing too many others. I know, and I'm sorry, I didn't want to do this. Allowing too many other people to give you the influence, right? You know where you're at. You know what you want to do. What you want to do with your life. You need to take control in your life, but you can't do it at 50 miles an hour like he did. Okay? He doesn't want to see you over in the spirit realms 20 years before your time.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Because you do things at 50 miles an hour, don't you? When you could do them at 30.
Yes.
You want them done now. If you get an idea, it's got to be done. It can't be done tomorrow. You won't even wait 12 hours. If you've got an idea, you'll get there, you'll get in, get it done. If you have to travel 50k to do it, if you have to travel across the country to do it, you will do it. You don't take time at some points in your life to stop and say, hold on, I need to put a plan into place. I need to sort this out. Yes?
Yes. But the only thing is when you're saying about letting people into my life, I'm the leader. I make the decisions on everything. I've always been like that. Even as a teenager, always made
We're not talking about making the decisions. I'm talking about trusting somebody that you shouldn't.
Okay.
It's like, when you go through a bank loan, you don't just go to one bank, you go to 5 others to make sure you're getting the best rates. Make sure you're getting the best advice. You're not just taking one person's word for it.
Yes.
There's one person that you need. And this is the story from the child with the eye. He sees that this person is not somebody you need to trust. Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
Your grandfather is telling you you need to slow it down. You're making the decisions, but you're also doing them at 50 miles an hour when you need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay? It doesn't all have to be done right now. Okay? November 23rd. It's the third time this week this date has come up for me. November 23rd. What's that to you?
A month before Christmas. November 23rd.
Could be birthdays, anniversaries, memory, something significant around, and I will only to ever take a date either way. November 23rd.
Well, there was a ministry here a few years ago, November 23rd.
Explain. A ministry?
3 years ago, to bless the home and try to remove the spirits that were here.
On November 23rd?
Yes.
Okay. What happened on that experience?
It didn't work out very well. One of them got sick. We wound up in the basement, and this is before the portal was actually called the portal. And
right. Before you say anything else, before you say anything else, don't give me 2 minutes. Were the hieroglyphics found? Were something about a piece of writing, not in English, but in like hieroglyphics or fancy writing?
Yes.
You need to pay attention to that. Nothing else that was coming through. That's the important bit. That's what I've just been given. They've just shown me this piece of writing. It's in fancy writing. I can't make it out from here, but I know it's not just plain English writing. It's fancy writing, almost hieroglyphics. There's a message there that needs to be taken notice of. Where is that writing?
In the portal.
You need to investigate. You need to get that translated. You need to find out what that writing is all about. And I know nothing about your house.
This is true. The only unfortunate thing is that we painted over it. It's still there. It's still there. It's just covered with paint.
Yep. That was the key to that investigation.
Very interesting.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No. I'm actually glad you're doing this.
Take notice of what that child tells you. Out the mouths of babes will often save lives. Save yourself some trouble, because that kid will keep you on the right path when it comes to his sensitivity around other people. And guess what? The internet connection has stayed clear the whole time.
It's interesting. I'm out of the portal. I'm 3 floors up, and I was just going to say that. There's no interference.
They haven't found you yet.
They haven't found me yet. Whatever's in that room, the energy. I've done a lot of radio shows, a lot. And I can't tell you how many times it's just like you have to leave the room now. The interference, or you hear this static discharge or a vibration that comes from nowhere, and it just ruins the shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, your grandfather is around and letting you know and guiding you. And he's also around that young child that needs to, open up about his sensitivity and his knowledge that he can share. And you've got to pay attention to him. And that, I'm sorry, it brings us out of time for this show. Again, folks, you've heard it here. You're going to hear it first on SOC Radio. Phil Siracusa's the entire story of the Horsefly Chronicles, the most haunted house in Pennsylvania, over there in the US. You've got to listen it in. It's listed on our page. It's going to be 11 p.m. New York time. Sunday nights, isn't it, Phil? Your Sunday night in New York, Monday early a.m., 4 a.m. in the UK, and that is our lunchtime over here in New Zealand on the Southern Hemisphere. So check it out on spiritualistonline.com and SOC Radio pages on Facebook. And I've got to say, I'm looking forward to some interesting stories and the history of the Horsefly Chronicles. Phil, I've got to say a big thank you for joining us and putting up with the connection issues today. It just goes to show Spirit will have their message across when it needs to be.
Yes. Thank you so much, Julie Sock, for having me on your great network. Tracy Cooper back there in the background. Thank you so much. This has been a great show. we did it. We made it through it with all the interference, and I look forward to it. The entire story is coming out that's never been told before, only on SOC Radio.
Excellent. And we will see you, of course, next week, hopefully with Phil taking his spirits with him and we get through a full show again. It's been fine for weeks. I have got the worst internet possible, and it's been fine for weeks. We talked to Phil Siracusa and his Horsefly Chronicles house, and the internet plays hell with us. So, same time, same place, next week for Myths and Legends, the stories from our two favourite Facebook pages, Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural, Myths and Legends, and of course, Tell Me a Ghost Story. And from your stories, all about Myths and Legends. See you same time next week, and watch out for August the 27th, 28th, depending where you are, for Phil Siracusa's his entire story of the Horsefly Chronicles coming to SOC Radio. Until next time, may Spirit guide and keep you.
Thank you for listening to Tales from Ghosts, the Paranormal, Supernatural, Myths and Legends. Check out these and more at our Facebook group. See you next week for more. Spiritualistonline.com. Online since 2002, teaching all aspects of personal and spiritual development. Free to all with audio video chat rooms, members forums and SOC radio live shows on site. The Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, a global oasis for spiritual awareness, development, attainment, imparting knowledge, thoughts, ideas to inspire. One site, linking a whole network of spiritually informative, educational and interactive services, encompassing every faith, path, walk, religion as one.